everyone. Our next speaker is Sangeeta Shankran Sumesh. So she has created positive impact through high performance and increased profit. She's the founder and CEO of GainStatic. She's also a best-selling author of What the Finance, and she's been a chartered accountant, management accountant, and completed executive education from Harvard Business School. She's a high performance business coach from International Coaching Federation, professional speaker, and best-selling author. So, hi Sangeeta, how are you?
Hi Vinod, I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
So yeah, we've got this audience here. So we just wanted to understand more about you and what advice you can give them, especially considering this current situation we're all in.
Sure thing. I'm happy to share.
Yeah, I'll just, do you want to start sharing your screen?
Yes, sure. Just a moment. Yeah, is my screen visible?
Yeah, it's perfect, yeah.
Okay. All right. So before I get started, I think Vinod, you and your team at Spinta, you guys have been doing a phenomenal job at putting together the summit. So kudos on this job. That's well done.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Welcome. Right. So yeah, like we know, I'm here to talk about what the finance and let your profits enhance. You know, especially during times like these, I know many businesses are going through a lot of crisis, and you know, everybody is wondering what to do, what is the best way out. So I thought I'll share, you know, based on my experience and knowledge, what little aspects entrepreneurs can do so that, you know, they are able to gain the most out of their business. Right. So let me start off with a real life anecdote. But before that, I have a question for everybody. Why does a business exist? Any business, irrespective of whatever size, you know, however big, whatever industry, whatever you're into, irrespective of the nature of business, why does a business exist? You know, when I ask this question to many entrepreneurs, the answer I get is, you know, it's my passion, or I'm here to help my customers. I solve problems for my customers, you know, many such answers, interesting answers. I want to add value and stuff like that. All that is fine. But you must understand the very basic, you know, the very core why a business exists. And you know what that is? A business exists to make money. You know, people sometimes tend to argue with me. They're saying, no, you know, money is not my motive and stuff like that. Well, in that case, go ahead, do charity. You're not here for making money, okay? Your business is there to make money. And that's the only objective of any business. So get that clear first, you know. So whatever actions that you do must be in line with your profits. Your business needs to make the money that it's supposed to make. So what actions are you doing as an entrepreneur? And that's what we are here to discuss today. So let me, like I said, start off with a real life anecdote. And this happened about a year ago. There was a fairly successful tech entrepreneur who met me and, you know, wanted to check with me if I knew any potential suitable investors to invest in his business. So I wanted to understand more about the business and, you know, got onto a conversation with him, trying to understand what was really happening and, you know, why exactly he was looking for investors. And as our conversation progressed, I sensed a lot of anxiety, despair, and pain in his voice and the words and, you know, from his expressions. So me being a coach, I started to probe deeper. And as we started speaking, you know, he slowly started to open up and realized the business was not doing as good as he thought it was. There were a lot of cash flow issues. He was having sleepless nights. He didn't know how to pay the next month's salary. Each month he was going through this difficult time. He didn't know whom to discuss about all these issues. You know, he couldn't talk about it to his family, nor his colleagues, nor his friends. And, you know, all these emotions were deeply buried into him. And he was having a really difficult time. So slowly he started telling all his issues. And then as our coaching conversation progressed, we got to understand three things. His cash flow was obviously not too good. His revenue models were not the right way that it was meant to be. And he was having a lot of working capital issues. So in his mind, he thought by getting investors, all his cash flow issues, his working capital issues, all these issues would get resolved. And therefore, that is the reason he actually wanted investors. So I told him, by getting these investors, this will only arrest his problem of cash flow on a short-term basis, because he was not getting into the root cause of the issues. And that is what was actually creating these problems. So he had to first address these, the root cause of these issues, which was causing the problem. And only thereafter, if he was looking at growth and expansion, should he look at investors. So my friends, this is what I call as the fake steak syndrome. Are you a victim of it? Do you think by getting in investors, you probably become cash rich overnight and your cash flow is going to get better and your business is going to flourish? Well, it might, but it could be on a temporary basis. So you need to understand the pros and cons of having an investor and the reason why you want to have an investor. So these are some questions I would like you to reflect on. Why do you need an investor, and how is it going to help your business? And is there a way you can actually even do away without an investor? So think through these, and once you're convinced, then you can take necessary actions for getting an investor. But your prime focus, my friends, like I said, should be to focus on your business. Irrespective of whether you have investors or not, you need to be focusing on your business growth. And that is what I say is financial high performance. Now, let me break that down for you. What is high performance? Achieving superior results by performing at a high standard as per set targets. That is high performance. So what is financial high performance? Achieving high performance in financial terms, right? So how well is your business doing in financial terms? And that is what is financial high performance. And I think that is what most businesses tend to strive and want to achieve in the growth of the business. So what are the main components of these financial high performance? Now I'm going to give you the takeaways of today's session. This is just the introduction that I had. So the takeaways of today's session based on the financial high performance of your business is CSR. Now you must be wondering, what is CSR? I'm an acronym person. I love to share a lot of acronyms with you. So today I'm giving you a heads up already. I'm going to be sharing 5 acronyms or 5 finance mantras. So let me start off with what CSR is, which is what is going to be your takeaway for today. CSR, most of you might be thinking it's corporate social responsibility, right? So I say this is the CSR for which you are responsible for your business. What does it stand for? C stands for cash management. S stands for your spend management. And R is your revenue management. So once you have these 3 in order, then your business is likely to get to the high financial performance that you've been wanting, right? So let's focus on cash management, spend management, and revenue management for today and see how you can implement these into your business, right? So before I move on to cash management, let me again share another real life anecdote here with you. So this is about a client of mine. When he started his business, he was extremely enthusiastic. He gave up his plush corporate job and he was very excited, started his business with a lot of gusto. The initial few months, no revenue. Slowly the revenue started taking in, and then he wanted to grow his team. He had some people working for him. He had a nice office, and though the revenue was ticking in, it wasn't really sufficient to meet his expenses. Slowly the business started to pick up. He thought, he was headed for more success, and guess what? He started having a lot of cash flow issues. He had to mortgage a lot of his personal assets and, to meet both the ends of the business meet, and he was going through a lot of emotional trauma because one side he felt the business was doing well, but the cash, he wasn't seeing the cash. He wasn't able to take home a decent salary to run his family. In fact, his wife was paying for most of his household expenses, and obviously this was hurting him. So he was, wondering how to manage his cash. And that's when I gave him a cash mantra and see if you can utilize this. Now, as I said, I'm an acronym person. So the acronym that you have to remember here is CASH. CASH for cash. Now, what does it stand for? C is to collect on time. Many entrepreneurs have realized they complete the work. Sometimes they don't raise the invoice on time, or even if they do raise, they, exceed the credit limit that's been given. So it's important that you follow up your dues and ensure you collect it on time. So C is to collect on time. A is to anticipate your in and out. You must know how much money you're expected to get in the next few months and what is going to be your cash outflow as well, so that you can plan your cash accordingly. So A is to anticipate your cash in and cash out. S is to systematically monitor. At any point in time, you must know how much of cash do you have, your business has, so that any financial decision that you have to take, you must be in a comfortable position to make it immediately. So you need to systematically monitor, and your eye should always be on the cash that you have. And H is the habit of reserves. It's always good to build your reserves, especially your cash reserves, so that during an emergency or any rainy days, your business is all geared up and you are not struggling for it. So let me repeat cash for you again. Collect on time, anticipate your in and out, systematically monitor, and have the habit of creating cash reserves. So that is important. Cash is key. Cash is like oxygen for a business, right? So you need to have sufficient cash for your business. Another thing that I notice is many entrepreneurs do not differentiate or do not know the difference between a cash profit and a book profit. Both are equally important. And you might wonder, while all your transactions are similar, why is the cash profit different from the book profit? And I'll tell you why. The difference, even though the transactions are similar, arises because of non-cash flow items like your depreciation. It could be timing difference. For example, you might raise an invoice, let's say end of the year, but your customer pays in the following financial year. So in your books, this is already recognized as revenue, but your cash doesn't reflect the same. It reflects only when you get the money. So similarly, it could be like your accruals, the bills that you get during the year end or the month end, which you'll be paying subsequently. So these are some of the common reasons why the cash profit is different from the book profit. But as an entrepreneur, both are important for you. Cash, obviously, because you need it to run your business. And the book profit is important because if you're going in for loans or you're to investors and stuff like that, the book profit is what is being considered. So both are important, and you need to focus on both these aspects. Right? So from here, let's move on to the next mantra, which is on the spend management. So let me again share another interesting thing that happened. So there was this foreign company who wanted to set up their branch here in India. So they hired a team, they put things together, everything was in place. But guess what? They didn't have a person to manage their finance. They thought they would oversee it from the foreign operations. So while that was fine, what was happening is all the expenses of the Indian operations were being converted into dollars. And when they were converted into dollars, they seemed quite insignificant to start with. And the Indian branch wasn't actually making money in the initial 2 years of business, of starting up, because there was no spend management. There was nobody taking care of the spend, and the foreign company was looking at it all in dollar terms, but over about 2 years, the expenses had soared, and they were wondering what is happening. So that's when I say spend management becomes very important. And I know most entrepreneurs face this as well, because not too sure on how to manage their spend. So let me share the second acronym here with you, which is CARE. They say, take care of the expenses, right? So remember CARE. So C here stands for control. How are you controlling the costs? Because if you don't control the costs, and if you don't have your eyes on the costs, they just soar up. It's these little things that add up. And then in the end, you're like wondering, oops, what happened to everything? So you need to control your costs from the beginning. A is alternatives. Now, any expense that you're incurring, what are the alternatives that you have? Are you taking sufficient quotes? Are you comparing it with suitable vendors, or is it you're just going with one particular person? So what is the alternate that you have? R stands for required. Is a spend even required? I mean, take a call. Use your prudence there, your financial prudence. So, because many times an expense is not even required and people just go ahead with it. So, check if an expense is actually required. And if it's required, E stands for enhance. What do I mean by enhance? How is the expense enhancing your business? It could be your business value, it could be the way your business is being projected, whatever, but how is it adding value to your business? You need to know that, right? So let me repeat what is care. C is to control your costs, A is your alternatives, R is whether a spend is required, and E is how is it enhancing your business, right? So remember care for your spend management. Now related to this, and related to cash is the next mantra that I'm going to share with you. And this is on your cash prioritization. Especially when you're pressed for cash as an entrepreneur, on what basis do you prioritize the cash that you have, right? So the acronym you need to remember here is BLING, okay, wherein B stands for your business operations. Now, whatever cash you have, the first thing that you need to prioritize is for your business. You know, what do I mean by business operations? Your basic running of your business, you know, it could be your salaries or, you know, whatever is required so that that actually translates into revenue for you. So for your basic business operations is the B that stands for, which is the first bucket that you need to put your cash into. The second is the L. L stands for your legal expenses. It could be your taxation and, you know, maybe like customs, whatever. You need to ensure that you're legally respecting the laws that your business is bound by, because if you don't, you know, the consequences are not worth spending your time, effort, and money on, because the rules are very you know, stringent, and therefore ensure the next immediate thing you're, you know, settling for is your legal expenses. I stands for investment. You know, what sort of investments are you doing for your business to grow? So I is the third bucket that you need to look at for your cash. N is the necessary reserves that you need to build for your business, because I already told you, like during the cash acronym, remember, the head stands for habit of reserves. So whatever reserves need to be created, I think that is important. And I think during times like these, I don't really have to stress the importance of the reserves. And G is the general expenses. So any cash that you have over and above, you know, after spending for your business operations, your legal aspects, your investment necessary reserves, after that, whatever cash you have, you can go ahead and splurge it the way that you want for your business, right? So remember, BLING. Now from here, let's move on to the R of the CSR, which is the revenue, right? So again, here, let me share another story here with you. So there was this lady who was doing fairly well, who was an entrepreneur here, and she got married and she relocated to a new country. And she wasn't familiar with the way the business, you know, operates there, and she was trying to understand, and she had her niche, and, you know, it was a specialized thing. So she was wondering on how to arrive at the right pricing. And I noticed this is a common challenge that most entrepreneurs have on, you know, how do I arrive at my right pricing strategy? How do I know which is the best way to price my business? So here I'm going to share some easy ways. You can do a mix and match also of this on your pricing strategy. So as usual, let me share the fourth acronym with you, which is price. Price for price. Easy to remember, right? So P stands for, it could be three things actually. One is your perceived value. What do I mean by perceived value? How exactly is your customer perceiving your product or service? Now, if you were to step into the shoes of your customer, would you be willing to pay the price that you want to quote? So how is a customer, a potential customer, looking at your offerings? So P, one is perceived value. Another thing is premium pricing, which is like, you know, look at the car segment. Obviously, if it is like, you know, a high-end luxury car, it comes at a premium pricing. So if your product or service has a premium quotient to it, you can always charge a premium for it. And the third thing of the P is promotional pricing. Now, let's take the example of air conditioners or refrigerators, right? Now, during summer, when the demand is high, they play up with the pricing. And normally during winters, when again the demand is not so high, that's when they try to come up with some offers and some promotions so that they can push the sales. So see what works well for you. So the three P's of the P of the price are the perceived value, promotional pricing, and premium pricing. R stands for range pricing. What is a range pricing? Let me give you an example for easy understanding. Now, if you want to pick up any groceries, your vegetables or fruits, for instance, these come at a range, right? So depending on the supply, the produce, and so many other things, they normally come at a range. So if you want, you can adopt a range pricing so that you can customize it for each market that you have, right? So R is your range pricing. I is your industry trends. Now, what is your industry saying about your product? How are your competitors pricing their products? Because your pricing cannot be too different from your competitors, right? So you may have to take into account the industry trends. C is applicable especially if you're starting a new industry, where you don't know, you don't have an industry to benchmark, or you're not sure, you're trying out new waters and stuff like that. So C stands for computing your total cost and adding a margin to it. So let's say your total cost is 100 and then you want a 10% margin. So you add it and you price your product or service at say 110. So that your costs are covered, and then whatever margin that you want, you're able to stick to that and then arrive at a selling price. E is your economic pricing. This is applicable when the volumes are huge, right? When you have a huge number of people getting your products, then you can grow and multiply your margins through the volume. So that's when the economic pricing kicks in. And this example could be like the mobile phones, the service provider of the mobile, the connectivity and stuff like that, because there's a huge population here in India who opt for it. So their margins can probably be thinner. So let me repeat the price again for you. P is your perceived value, promotional pricing, or your premium pricing. R is your range pricing. I is your industry trend. C is to compute your total cost and add a margin to it. And E is your economic pricing. Now, the good thing about it is, you can do a mix and match. Depending on your product, your geography, your kind of customers, everything, you can do a mix and match and see what works best for your product or service. Next, related to all of these, that is the risk aspect, right? Because many times people don't assess the risk. And I'll tell you why. This happened with a client who I was coaching. And what he had done was, he was actually an employee in a fairly large multinational who was doing well in his career. And his childhood buddy had started a business and suggested to him, why don't you be like a sleeping partner and invest into my business? So this guy was very excited because he thought this could be an additional source of revenue for him, and therefore went and invested his entire savings into the business of his childhood friend. Now, while he was just a sleeping partner, he didn't know anything about the business operations. He wasn't actively involved. And to make things worse, you know what? He just trusted his childhood friend, and there was no documentation that was in place to say that he is actually an investor in the business. Now, it's fine. You definitely go ahead and trust your friends. That's not the point. But from a financial aspect, you need to have your documentation in place. Whoever you're dealing with, it could be your sibling, it could be your best friend, whoever, but the way you need to protect yourself financially and legally is to have documentation in place. And many entrepreneurs who have noticed is they don't take the pause to assess and evaluate the risk involved, which I think is very crucial in whatever business that you're doing. So what does the risk acronym stand for? So R is your rewards or your return. By investing, in whatever, it could be in another business, it could be in an equipment, whatever, what sort of rewards or returns are you expecting? So is it worth? So just take a call. So that is one parameter. I is the investment required. What is the amount of investment that's required for you so that you know, you can plan yourself, right? I mean, we spoke about your cash flow, right, in the beginning. So you know how much money is needed, and then you can plan yourself. So what will be the total investment that was required? Because in the example that I gave you, this person kept investing in his friend's business on a periodic basis, and over the period of time, his entire savings was wiped out and he didn't get any returns because the business wasn't doing too well. So you need to know, you know, how is it, you know, what sort of investment is required, what is the period, the duration, and stuff like that. S is to segregate. Segregate what? The pros and cons of investment, or, you know, any decision that you want to take. You need to know the pros and cons. And K is knowingness. You know, when I say knowingness, I mean you need to know the market, you need to know the customer behavior, you know, you need to do a complete study, a market study, so that you know how best your product or service is going to fit in that particular market environment. So let me repeat: risk. R is your risk and rewards. I is the investment required. S is segregating the pros and cons, and K is knowingness. So once you know this, based on that is when you need to take a call for your business as appropriate, right? So remember, the most important thing is you need to evaluate the risks, right? So take a pause, ask yourself some questions. Is it the right thing? Is it the best thing for your business? And what do you get in turn by, you know, making any sort of financial decision for your business, right? It has to be the best thing that you're doing for your business. So that is very important. So I think this was what I wanted to share with you: the CSR, which is the cash aspect, the cash management, which is very important, the spend management, and of course the revenue aspect as well. Because once these three things are in place, then your business should be doing well. Oh yes, and I forgot to mention to you that, you know, you may be wondering, I've shared so many things here with you, and how do you know, make note of all these? So I have my YouTube channel. It's called Sang Sha Soom, an abbreviation of my name. So feel free to subscribe to the channel. I keep sharing a lot of finance mantras, a lot more than these. So at any point in time, you can go hear them out and see what is the best applicable thing for your business. And, you know, you can just start implementing. Most of them are very easy, simple takeaways that I have, easily implementable. So please feel free to go and subscribe to the channel. And yes, so if you would like to connect with me, these are my coordinates, and I'm very happy to, you know, engage with you to see how best, you know, your profits can grow. And I would also like to share with you that watch out for my next book, which is going to be launched very soon. And guess what it's called? It's called Get High. And that talks about how to coach yourself for high performance in your work. So whatever work that you're doing, it has some easy mechanisms to see how you can actually coach yourself. And the book has also been endorsed by Dr. Marshall Goldsmith, who's the leading coach and a New York Times bestseller. So I look forward to hearing from all of you, you know, be it on What the Finance, my book, or the upcoming one, Get High. I would love to connect and engage with you. And I wish you all the very best. And I would really love to see your profits grow in leaps and bounds. So signing off here is Sangeeta Shankran Sumesh, and all the very best to you.
Thank you so much, Sangeeta, for your amazing speech. And it's actually nice the way you used abbreviations. It's like, you know, it's easier for me to remember as well. So
yes, yes, that's the point. Yeah, you know, the recall value is very high when you put it as acronyms. Yes.
I think whatever you say, especially this time, it's very important for people, because considering, you know, the finance and how do you manage your finances, especially during these times, are probably the highest priority. And I'm very excited with your new book. I think we should also, you guys also, whoever have not read the first book, I think you should just get a copy of that, because it's like got this as well as way more than this on the book. So you should just make sure that you get a copy of it. I'll be sending the slide to you, and I'll also be sending them, like, I can just share the presentations, right, to them?
Sure. Yes, yes, sure. You can share the presentation. So as parting words, I would love to say that, you know, please focus on the financial aspect of your business, because, you know, many times what I've noticed is entrepreneurs who are, you know, they're domain experts, you know, think finance is not their responsibility. Well, you know, they always tell me, like, you know, I have my accountant or my advisor, my auditor, you know, finance is their problem. But what I say is, on whom does the onus lie? it's with you as a business owner, because the money that the business makes, only you are the one who gets it, right? It's your business, so you need to take that care. While you can always take advice from your auditor, accountant, or advisor, or any other person, you are the ultimate decision maker. So the onus lies on you as the business owner. So please remember that and do the right things, the financially best thing for your business. Of course, not always it should be financially driven, but know the repercussions, right? So take a call, just take a moment's pause, reflect, and then take your decisions is what I have to tell people.
Sure. Thank you so much, Sangeeta, for your time. So look forward to talking to you soon.
Pleasure. All the best.